Let's get this party started.
Coverage tight, spotlight on tomorrow. Who you with? Trust, you'll be delighted that you followed. At Phirst Contention, the invention. We debate sports, of course we should mention. What's that? We cover games, we don't play suspensions. We 100, so if your star's missing, we let you know your squad surely gone fishing. We never fish though, no, not our motto. We sport on deals, on court, on fields. The victors, the vengeance, the legends, latest invention. Phirst Contention.
I said hola, senors and senoritas. Welcome to another episode of Phirst Contention. I'm your boy, did NFL Combine, well relaxed, well good. But this is my esteemed colleague, Mr. T.Y. Sosina.
Salutations, folks. Thanks for joining us. Before we kick it off, let's shoot it over to Steve Davis. What's going on, Steve?
Ladies and gentlemen, strive higher every day. Welcome to Shed's Block. We're going to have a great show today. I hope you enjoyed that Combine video last week. We had a great time in Indianapolis. But let's get into some other topics today. Kick it back over to you, fellas.
Muchas gracias. Breaking news before we get into this show. This just in, the Bills looks like they have agreed to receive LeSean McCoy from the Eagles. And in return, Kiko Alonso will join his former college coach. Your thoughts on the trade, which won't happen until next Tuesday. Thoughts, Mark?
You know what? When you think about this trade and when you think about getting Kiko Alonso, it's like, why? Why, Chip? Why would you trade your star running back to get Kiko Alonso that's coming off of an ACL injury this past year? He didn't play this past year. Now, you already got rid of Deshaun Jackson. You got rid of LeSean McCoy. Jeremy Maclin's a free agent. Who are you going to have on your offensive side of the football? I understand this is about scheme, but that's in the college. It's about Jimmys and Joes, not X and O's when you get to the NFL.
I like that. That was fire. We know where Philadelphia's bread is buttered. It's buttered on offense. I think at this point, they're trying to bolster up that defense. Darren Sproles, for better or for worse, he came in, he made some things happen. He's just as explosive, if not more perhaps, than LeSean McCoy, especially last season. But you also talk about defense. They need help on that side of the ball. Trent Cole, who tweeted, "No respect," captioned that. He probably won't be back with the team, so they do need help there, but I agree. Kiko didn't play all last year, coming off the ACL injury. You know what McCoy is. Granted, he didn't have that great of a year, but the O-line was hurt. So, personally, I probably would have kept, McCoy, who was just doing damage in that scheme. Damage.
You know, when you think about his production numbers and why his production numbers dropped off, one of the main reasons is because the offensive line was hurt. Absolutely. And during the goal line, it seemed like Darren Sproles or Chris Polk or some other random running back was taking a lot of goal line carries and different things of that nature. So I have to say that the defense of the Eagles is still going to be a problem. They lost Trent Cole. They also released Kerry Williams too today as well. Now they moved a lot of salary cap, but this is not the NBA where you can just move salary cap and bring in free agents and be successful. Tampa Bay did it last year, and look what their record is. The top free agent spenders tend not to do well. It's always been a draft and develop type league, and they right now do not have the speed on offense nor on defense to compete. I think the Dallas Cowboys just won the NFC East division for next year already.
They're going to do it again. Not to mention former Defensive Rookie of the Year, D'Amico Ryans. I believe he tore his Achilles last season, so he won't be there. Again, they just need some young, fresh blood to fill it in. But again, someone who's only going to be going into his second season, technically. We'll see how it plays out. But, I mean, I agree. I think the Eagles have some issues, and that team it's a lot different from what it used to be, but we'll see how that plays out.
And to add a final thought, Chip Kelly. Now everyone agrees that he's a good coach, he's a mad scientist, but it's a different league when you're playing in the NFL. And for him to be in the NFL for the first 2 years, only to have 0 playoff wins, I mean, he could be on the guillotine next year if he doesn't make it to the playoffs again for next year.
I mean, he did win the division in his first season.
He did, but he had a
playoff game.
Host a playoff game, but lost to a New Orleans team that hasn't won a role playoff game in a very, very long time.
Good points. Good points. Well, let's throw it over to Steve. I know we're shocked by the news. Steve, what do you think?
So the Philadelphia Eagles have decided to get rid of Shady McCoy. That one throws me for a loop. I don't understand what's going on. I mean, are they gonna, rely on a draft pick or try to bring life out of Darren Sproles? I mean, I'm hearing rumors in St. Louis that Nick Foles is up for in the trade block to possibly go to St. Louis instead of Sam Bradford. And I'm like, well, I don't know what Chip Kelly's doing. He's trying to trade up to get Mariota, basically bring his old offense from Oregon here in the NFL because he believes his system works. I mean, this guy has an ego out of this world if he believes getting rid of grade A players for a system is going to work in the NFL. Like you guys say, it's about the players, man. You got to have the people that can produce. Obviously, you got a system, but the system ain't going to do nothing unless you got some athletes out there that can actually get some plays done. So, Chip Kelly, man, I don't know what you're doing in Philly. It seemed like the whole state of Philly just up for a flux. The 76ers doing stupid stuff. Now the Eagles. I don't know what's going on, but now you need to get it together. NFC East, maybe Dallas is another opportunity to win, but if they can hold on to Dez Bryant, we'll see about that. But I don't know. It's very confusing right now. I just don't understand that move.
Well, let's go from one shady to another shady when we're talking about the Dallas Cowboys. A shady move by Dallas as they are in a conflict with Dez Bryant right now. Now, Ty, what are your thoughts on Dez and the Cowboys? Do you think they should sign him to a long-term deal and this mystery video and Cole Beasley getting a 4-year contract today, as a matter of fact?
I mean, there's been some issues with Dez Bryant, and some of us out here think that the media play it up. He plays hard. He shows a lot of emotion because he wants to win. That's what it boils down to. He wants to win. A lot of people are portraying it or say that he's out of control, that he's like a cancer to the team, like a Terrell Owens. But I've heard that there's some things going on with Dez Bryant. Mind you, this is before this videotape was released, which apparently there's no evidence right now, no hard evidence about the videotape. I heard that part of the reasons why the Cowboys didn't want to give him extension, sign to a long-term deal, rather instead he takes the franchise tag, which gives him the average salary of the top 5 wide receivers in the league. It's because it's really hard to keep tabs on him, and that there's a lot of things that he's doing behind closed doors that the Cowboys organization is aware of, but that us in the public are not aware of, and that's part of the reason why they don't feel comfortable locking him up to a long-term deal. It's just what I heard.
But in the same sense, though, when you have the production of Dez Bryant and this videotape coming back out in 2011, that's over 4 years ago. I don't want to make pre-notions and prejudge, but it feels as if the Cowboys are trying to slander his name to bring down the value of Dez Bryant when it comes to negotiation, when it comes to contract talks, which I feel is very detrimental, which I feel is the wrong thing to do, because this man has done nothing but produce for the Cowboys over and over and over. When you think about the most consistent thing on that team, it's not Tony Romo, it's not Jason Witten, it's Dez Bryant, time in and time out. And Dez Bryant,
I mean, Jason Witten, he's pretty.
Dez Bryant is the one that makes that offense run. Dez Bryant is the one that teams fear the most. Not DeMarco, it's Dez Bryant.
Understandably so, but again, especially in this day and age, the wide receiver, it's a passing game. And he displayed his athleticism. He was shaming a lot of cornerbacks over the season. And I feel for Dez because, like you said, he plays hard. He plays so hard and he deserves it. But we're moving into a day and age here where the league is all about image. And whether it's for better or for worse, perhaps they are, trying to taint the image and bring down the value. But if there is something there, image is important, and I can.
But Ty,
if there is, I can see why they wouldn't want to lock him up to a
Ty,
long-term
this is over 4 years ago, Ty. This is not nothing that happened last week. This is not something that happened last year. This isn't Ray Rice or Greg Hardy or Adrian Peterson or somebody like that. This happened over 4 years ago. What have you done for me lately?
All right. So yes, the tape is 4 years ago. Now, like I said, there's rumblings that there are stuff happening behind closed doors that we do not know about. So maybe the tape being the most egregious thing is what's being thrown out there. But I mean, hey, it's Dallas, it's Jerry. We know how he treats players who get it done, and he won't necessarily air all the laundry. We've seen it with Pac-Man Jones, a security detail. Do you trust a man while he can ball? If you have to send him everywhere with a security detail to make sure that he stays out of trouble, is that something that you want to invest a lot of time into?
So right now, would you want him in a Cowboys uniform, or since Chip Kelly has moved all this money, maybe see him in an Eagles uniform moving forward?
Hey, I mean, I would rather have in a Cowboys uniform, but if this potential alleged, I'm not saying it's concrete. If it comes to light and he can't be on the field, what do you say about availability?
It's the best ability.
Exactly.
Well, like I said, I disagree on how the Cowboys are handling things. But let's go to a game that we like to play. Should they stay or should they go? Talking about the top NFL free agents. And, well, let's start with probably the best free agent that's out there. Defensive tackle, Ndamukong Suh from the Detroit Lions. Should he stay or should he go, Ty?
This one's cut and dry. The Detroit Lions, I'm expecting them to come back down to earth. They're second in the NFC North, so they'll be playing a second place schedule. And I just don't trust them. You better get while the getting's good. Leave, Sue. It's time to go play with a team with a quarterback that can win a playoff game. He's got the weapons around him. I don't trust Stafford. Deuces. Bounce out. What do you think?
I know the Raiders. I know Jacksonville. I know Atlanta has a lot of money to throw out there. Maybe Atlanta might be a nice fit for him moving down there, down south. I think it's time for Suh to go, and it definitely will help my Green Bay Packers out a lot too as well.
And he's got history with Jay Cutler. While we know we're not on the best of terms,
but still,
the Raiders, you can get paid a lot of money and lose somewhere else. So you might as well go to the Raiders. They got all that cap space.
True.
Next free agent.
And our next free agent that we're going to talk about, let's talk about Julius Thomas, tight end for the Denver Broncos. Should he stay or should he go? Ty?
You got Peyton Manning back there. Stay. You see what he did in virtually half a season? Stay. Or you can go to Jacksonville or something. It's your choice.
Stay. Man, you have Peyton. Stay. And let's be honest, he's a pass-catching tight end. Mm-hmm. Will he block? No. Is he very physical? Not really. Is he injury-prone? Kinda. But he does catch passes and creates mismatches. Yeah, you definitely should stay with Denver. Well, DeMarco Murray, stay or go?
I would stay. Again, we talk about where Philadelphia's bread is butter. Mm-hmm. While the Cowboys' bread is butter on offense, it's especially lathered on the offensive line, okay? These boys can block. Their last few picks, the last 2 years have been on the O-line, and so by not going with the sexy pick, by fortifying that O-line, not only is it better for DeMarco, got great quarterback play, which allows Dez Bryant to do his thing out there.
You know what? I'm glad that you said that last part. Great quarterback play. And from the contract offer that was offered to him, I think he should go and go play with another up-and-coming great quarterback. Go up to Indianapolis. Go up to play with the Colts. They need a running game. Trent Richardson is, well, MIA, to say the least. So if they can go up there, maybe they could turn their fortunes around. In the AFC Championship game last year, maybe they can get over the hump. Maybe. I think so.
Trent Richardson is who is Mike Jones' territory. But, just the question, who is
Trent Richardson? Well, let's go to probably the best pass catcher that's out there that hasn't been franchised. Green Bay's Packers receiver Randall Cobb. Should he stay or should he go?
You play with one of the best quarterbacks in the game. You go against what used to be a defense in Chicago. You'll be going against a defense that will be without Ndamukong Suh. So I'm staying with Rodgers, who you were just in an NFC Championship game. So if you're about winning, I'm staying with the Packers. It's hard to say.
This is an interesting market because from reports, it's looking like he wants to get top receiver money, number one receiver money. And I don't think that he's that Dez Bryant, Demarius, Calvin. I think he's a step above Victor Cruz, who got about an $8-9 million contract. And if Green Bay can stay in that price range to give him a $9 to $10 million contract, 5 years, $45 million, or 5 years, $48 million, something along those lines, I think he stays. But a lot of teams have a lot of cap money out there that's going to be throwing a lot of money. I'm definitely staying. I got Rodgers. I got the best quarterback. So
there needs to be another category, like a shifty wide receiver category, because he's not a real number one. Let's move on to another wide receiver. Macklin. You touched on him in the Eagles. What do you think?
I think that abandon ship. I think the Eagles are going down. Leave Macklin. Jump ship while you can. I mean, if not, they're just going to release you next year because that's what they do with all their top offensive players anyway. But I see a fit with him going back to his former coach in Kansas City, going back to the Chiefs or going to a team like that, or maybe even going up to Indianapolis to pair up with T.Y. Hilton to give that offense a little bit more dynamic potency. So that's what I would say.
I'm leaving as well. Man, and I love Kansas City. They really finished a whole season without a touchdown by a wide receiver. I don't know how that's possible. So go kick it with Andy Reid and let Alex Smith get you the ball there.
Yeah, pretty much. And well, let's finish probably the top defensive back this year, Devin McCourty.
It's not a long list of defensive.
Yeah, not a long list. Devin McCourty, New England Patriots, stay or go?
Leave and go to Chicago. Boom!
Well, all depends on what the market dictates. About $9-10 million if the Patriots can do it. I think he should stay, just getting off a Super Bowl run. The Bills are going to be very tough this year. The AFC still, I think, is the weaker conference, but when you're playing with Tom Brady in the hoodie and that team, I think you have a chance to always make it back to the Super Bowl.
Darrell Reeve is about to eat up all McCourty's money. Just go play for Chicago.
Yeah, that too. Well, let's transition to another topic. This past week was a rough time for the Windy City. First Derrick Rose, now Jimmy Butler.
Patrick Kane. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, Patrick Kane, Ty. Are the Bulls in trouble, and is the city of Chicago on suicide watch?
Maybe.
Okay, so keep sharp objects away from Chicago.
And yes, on the second part. Okay, the problem boils down to Coach Thibodeau, one of the great coaches in the league. We talk about the Spurs, what makes them so great, the way they play ball, and the way they rest players. Tibbs does not know when to call it quits. This team is either injured, and if you're not injured, you're sick, Paul Gasol. And so the problem is you got all these players playing north of 60 minutes a game. I don't know how that's possible, but Tibbs is making it happen. At the end of the season, Noah's basically on one leg, and they're playing in a meaningless game against the Bobcats in overtime, and Tibbs has Noah out there gunning it out. You got to get your players some rest. It's a long season. It is a marathon. It's not a sprint. But looks like it's just an MCL tear for Roll, so he'll be back. And Butler looks like, he'll be back. So, I mean, we'll see. This is still a good team. They've got the heart. And so, God, I'm tired.
Well, Ty, it looks like that you need therapy for a little bit. But are the Bulls in trouble? Well, we depends. I thought the Bulls had a chance to make it to the
ever since you made that pick, it's
to the
downhill.
championship. Did I give them the KOD, the kiss of death? Maybe I did. Maybe that was my master plan. But let's say they get matched up as a third seed, Ty. Maybe they're the third seed and going into the playoffs. They feel good. Atlanta and Cleveland number one. But they have to play a tough team, the number 6 seed in my Milwaukee Bucks in the first round that locks people up on defense. And I think if Rose comes back, we don't know how healthy he can be. If Jimmy Butler comes back, we don't know how healthy he can be. Mirotic, Taj Gibson, I think there might be an upset brewing, especially if they might drop down to maybe the 4th seed and have to play Toronto.
That's one of the more ridiculous things you said on the show. That's one of the more ridiculous things you said on the show.
Really?
Yes. Kid doesn't have time in as a coach. All these young players, not to mention y'all lost to Jabari Greer, it doesn't matter. These young teams don't win games. A team that's been to the playoffs. We're talking about a squad that can force 7 games without its best player. Butler has ascended to another role. Paul Gasol has brought another, that big who's got, moves and skills to the team. So ain't no one scared about the Bucks. The Bucks ain't scaring nobody.
Well, you know what? That's very interesting that you say that, because by the way that the things are going in Chicago, I mean, we might have to play against Scottie Pippen and Jordan today because they won't have a team too much longer. So, but let's transition to our best time on the show, we like to call our We Sports questions. And our first question comes from Ma Dukes, and she asked me, will Beast Mode, a.k.a. Marshawn Lynch, be back with Seattle next year, Taiwo?
It wasn't looking good. And now Marshawn Lynch has recently come out and stated that they should have just given him the ball and it would have been a different outcome for the Super Bowl.
I think everybody agree with that.
But it's hard for me to imagine the Seahawks parting with Beast Mode. This is a man that we thought, he's up there in age. It's kind of rough for him. Running backs, they like to curtail, at a certain part. And look what he did. They cannot be that foolish to get rid of Marshawn Lynch. But Russell Wilson has a monster contract coming his way, which he's earned, but Lynch has earned one as well.
You know what's interesting?
What, Marvin?
I think that the Super Bowl shows you why you need to pay Marshawn Lynch. It shows you why you need to give him the ball. But I think the ego of the Seahawks will let him walk. I think the ego of the Seahawks will let that man walk. And if you let Beast Mode walk, I mean, we talked about identity earlier on the show with Shady McCoy leaving and the Eagles not having an identity. The identity of the Seahawks is Marshawn Lynch. There's no bones about it. So the egos that play into a particular part, I think he leaves. I think they're going to let him go.
This is unbelievable. And if they do, they better bring in some help because Wilson can't do it by himself.
True.
He obviously couldn't do it with Ricardo Lockett.
Message.
Let's move on to the next question. This is coming from the homie, Jeremy Floyd, Chi-Town native, who wants to know, will Derrick Rose be okay, Marvin?
Derrick Rose would be perfectly fine. I don't think Derrick Rose has anything to worry about. I mean, he's going to be the best wheelchair athlete that anyone can ever talk about, anyone can ever mention. I think that between him, Rose, Noah, Butler, I mean, they have an all-Paralympic squad that could compete for any gold medal championship right there.
You done?
I think so.
Jeremy answered the question in the second part. The answer is yes. Rose will be okay. Now, will Rose be, we were saying this before this injury, will he be the MVP caliber Derrick Rose? Probably not. I would love to see Rose's game evolve, become more of a point guard rather than a scoring point guard. Marvin, if you trying to push me, be more of a true point guard, distribute the ball. And if he distributes the ball and allows his players to make plays, you talk about Butler, you've got Gasol. No, especially when he's close enough to the basket, don't let that boy shoot because if it doesn't miss, it just looks bad. If you let them flourish out there, people will ease up on Derrick Rose, and then he'll be able to get to the basket a lot easier than he did.
Derrick Rose hasn't played a full season since his MVP season since 2010, 2011.
I'm happy you brought that up. I think we need to change things up. I think it's time to bring Rose off the bench.
Yeah, like you gonna bring a $20 million player off the bench. We'll save that for another discussion.
What do we say about availability?
It's the best ability, and we know Derrick Rose doesn't have any of that. But let's conclude our show. Thank you again for watching.
Don't forget, God, you're so disrespectful. I've never ended a show this angry before. Ooh, I've never. We almost got kicked off the air. All right. Like the video. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter. And while you're at it, go and subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you've got a question for the show, go ahead and send it our way using the hashtag WeSports.
You know, for Shed and over there in Shed's block, Marvin Banks and Ty Sosina.
You're on your own, jerk.
That's fine. Signing off. 4 is up.
It's March 3rd, too. Trey's up. I'm going to cut that out. Disrespectful. You disloyal fool. You gonna do this to me?
Ride with Phirst Contention, that's full throttle in. We sport on deals, on court, on fields. The victors, the vengeance, the legends, latest invention. Phirst Contention. We sport on deals, on court, on fields. The victors, the vengeance, the legends, latest invention. Game face grit, like born for playoffs. Say it all in small time like payoffs.